so how my philosophy very much informs me as a performer is, I realize very deeply that when I go on stage, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my audience. How did they get there? Was it a smooth trip? Is anybody sick out there?
Welcome to Inspired Choice today. I'm your host, Caroline Biesalski, here to bring you authentic stories, surprising lessons, and powerful takeaways to fuel your journey in business and life. In each episode, I'll take you from one inspiring guest to the next, blending their experiences with my expertise to uncover practical strategies you can use right away. Whether you're starting out or stepping up, stay tuned for insights and actionable tips that make a difference. And stick around until the end for a special freebie just for our listeners. Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is Anne Kittredge, and I hope I pronounced your name right.
That's right. You're right on.
Oh, thank you so much for being my guest today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic because I get to interview you and I'm so excited you won't believe. Yes.
I am really excited too.
I would like to introduce you to the audience, of course, and you are a celebrated performing artist whose career spans Broadway, off-Broadway, and major stages nationwide. Off-stage, you serve on advisory boards for the American Songbook Association and the Capital Cabaret Organization, advocating for cabaret education in underserved schools, while also enjoying life in New York City with your family. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast. Wow, Anne Kittredge. Okay.
Thank you.
Woo, I'm so excited. And my first question to you is, how has your extensive experience on Broadway and beyond shaped your perspective on performing arts education for underserved communities?
So, really, when I had my children, I learned so much about myself as a human being, and one of the things I realized is that as much as Caroline, I have found that I can't stop creating. It's a compulsion. I just have to keep doing it no matter what the circumstances of my life are. I have to keep doing it. And even though that is true, what I found out is the love of your children can be surpassed by nothing. And what was really important to me in raising my children was for them to have a very realistic environment of the diversity of the world and diversity in so many categories. And so when they were in school, I ended up becoming a very, very active child education advocate. And so one of the things that was really important to me was to realize how messed up funding is for education. And that even though so I'm going to talk about New York City, right? Because that's what I was very involved in. So even though there were certainly some federal programs and state programs to supplement areas in our city that were poorer, there was this big section in between that neither had the financial resources that can be provided by parents involved in a PTA, nor were poor enough to be able to get federal or state or city funding. And they were that's where the dearth of creative influence existed. And so when I started to get involved with these organizations, I was very clear to them. I said, we are not targeting the poorest areas. We are going to target the areas that actually need the funding. Because if you're in a poor area, you're getting literally hundreds of thousands of dollars more. You can afford to bring in creative, seminars and things like that for kids. But there's this other group that was just being lost in the cracks, and that was the area that I really focused on. And when my kids were young, they were I brought them along with me. I mean, it was I mean, to me, I just wanted them to be exposed to all of this. And that was really my driving force. It gave me an opportunity to include my creative compulsion, right? But the real drive was my children.
Wow, what a great answer. Thank you so much. And as a mother myself, I can totally relate to that.
Right?
Also, what you said, yeah, to create the environment for the kids where they get prepared, right, for the world, however the world is. Then with diversity and also the education system you talked about, and this is so true. We always focus on the poorest areas, but in fact, it is this little, I don't know if you call it gray zone or something
Right.
like
Like a gray
yeah,
area. Yep.
gray area which is
Yep.
not served so much. Yes, this is so true. Thank you for doing this. And of course, I have another question for you. What role does cabaret education play in empowering students, and how have you seen it impact young lives?
Oh my goodness. One of the things that okay, I'm going to sound a little bit like an old lady here. But one of the things that has stunned me when I have done workshops and like after school programs with youth is their total and utter lack of historical information. Like, I would bring up Barbara Streisand and they'd like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, okay. Like where do we have to begin with these people, right? They have no access to the wealth of musical richness that preceded their birth. you know and so that you know what I find with cabaret, because um cabaret, the music spans, there is no limit, right? You can go all the way back to the 1800s and be singing music from that, and all the way, some of my shows have had songs from 2016, 2007. I mean, there's no limit. So what I think cabaret offers students is that opportunity to see how you can experience all these different styles and genres and time periods of music, and how they can still relate. I have a particular recording that I did a couple of years ago of a song called "Ah Sweet Mystery of Life." It's from the opera Naughty Marietta that was written in 1910. And we perform it as a folk song for today's audience. And so what we have found, it is always a crowd pleaser in a very gentle way because it's a soft thing, but it it kind of blows people away that they're hearing a song written in a, we had to refine a couple lyrics, but generally it's the same song, that came from a totally different time period, and yet it is utterly relatable today. And that's the desire for youth, is to expose them to all different type of stuff, to let them know it exists, to let them know that Barbara Streisand was actually a pretty iconic musical presence, in the world at one point, and Frank Sinatra and Mario Puzo, I mean, all of these people, right? Like Mario Lanza, all of these people. And um, and so when it depends on what your approach is. I know that the approach for one of the organizations that I'm involved with is, and I really think this is the more effective approach, is a lot of times people bring in programs to schools and they're trying to find talent and say, oh my gosh, you could do this, or I want to encourage you to study this and you have potential and all this different stuff. But there is something really incredibly more significant to me when you bring in a program that has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with exposure and developing a love. Because if we don't have people who actually appreciate and love all different genres of music, where's our audience going to come from in the end? Where are they going to come from? Right? But if
Yes.
they're not exposed to it and they don't know it's there, my niece who is 26, 25 or 26, she's 26. I think she's 26. She came to my show recently. I think it's the first show she has seen me do. And at the end of the show, she was so blown away. She was like, "Oh my gosh, I loved all of this music." And I'm like, "Really? Are you just saying that because you're my niece?" You know what I mean? She said, "No, no, no." She said, "I'm telling you." She says, "Oh my gosh, I'm such a fan. I had no idea." That is really possible with today's youth. They just have to be exposed to it.
Yes, I totally agree. I heard someone saying that when you are on stage, right? I heard someone said that the person creates their audience themselves. So in their mind first, the people you want to attract or to,
Right.
I can
That's
inspire
interesting.
or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's really interesting.
It
Yeah.
was inspiring, yes. Mhm.
It is inspiring. And the other side of it too is, of course, you want your material to be accessible. You want people, we exist as performers to entertain. We exist to enrich people's creative or cultural perspective, right? There and all these different things. Um, there's also an element to being true to yourself, right? And not just trying to accommodate others, but to your point, we do have some control over the audience because of what we're envisioning with what we're doing with the music. It's not as much to please as it is to fulfill and enrich. And hopefully in the end that is pleasing, right? It because sometimes if you try to please people, you totally miss the air, you totally miss the spot, because you can't read other people's minds,
Yes,
right?
you have a message to transport and you will reach the right people. Because yeah, I heard because when you start speaking on stage or so, you are afraid, yeah, do they really want to see me or to listen to me or so? But they can also leave the room or the
That's
theater,
right.
right? Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
I was thinking about that a lot. And what I loved and what I did not say yet is how you talked about compulsion. You with creativity. I would have chosen the word passion. Why is it because you cannot stop, right?
Yes, because of passion. Yeah.
Or obsession would be another
You
word.
might but my kids might agree with that.
Yes. Of course, I have another question. Let's see. Can you share how your personal interests like golf or philosophy influence your creative process as a performer?
So, I don't know about golf. I mean, I can tell you what I love about golf is golf exists as a relevant sport specifically due to the personal integrity of the player. Golf is pretty easy to cheat, and I think, I think there's a lot of cheating on there in the lower levels, but to become a premier golfer, you have to have such personal integrity. And your competition is with the course. It's not with the other people, right? And so I just love all of the imagery of that and all of the messaging of that. And what was the other thing? The philosophy. So how my philosophy uh very much informs me as a performer is, I realize very deeply that when I go on stage, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my audience. How did they get there? Was it a smooth trip? Is anybody sick out there? Is somebody really struggling and they need some, emotional release or an escape and all these different things? And I am there to serve them. I am there to serve each and every one of them who are in there. If there's someone who, is cackling or has a particularly distinctive, obnoxious laugh, which believe me happens, and you just go, oh my gosh, you know, you got to realize that whether it seems distracting to people, that person is really enjoying it. They're enjoying it in their way, right? So you've got to, in my opinion, my philosophy just always reminds me that I am serving others. And I am lucky enough to use my passion for music and performing to do it.
Yes, I totally understand. Also, you express yourself, and by doing this, you lose yourself, you forget yourself in order to serve the others. So I I get the message. And what you said earlier about when you do this in the education field, you do workshops or so, then it is more important to that everyone contributes, or instead of searching for talents, I would say the audience is part of the play, of
Oh my
course.
gosh, yes. Oh my
Like,
gosh,
mhm,
yes.
yeah. That means you were talking about someone is laughing or so, or whatever. It is integrated into the what's happening in the presence,
In
right?
the moment,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I love we create, and I did not know this before. You don't know my story, but I was not speaking, not in German, not in English. I was so I had my intuition said do the podcast, and I started, and I cannot stop. So this is my compulsion. So thank you
Oh.
for the word. And yeah, I cannot stop anymore, and it doesn't matter what other people think, or because I'm serving too. We are serving now, talking about education, cabaret, and what you are doing next. So tell tell me about your goals, or do you set intentions, and what is one of your next projects?
Well, my next project is I'm actually in the middle of working on a Christmas album. Believe it or not, yes. You do the Christmas album so that it's done by June so they can release it in November. So I'm deeply in the throes of that. It'll be my third album. And yes, I'm very excited about it. And my last album just won. It was chosen as the top 10 vocal albums by the Broadway radio show. The name of that album is Romantic Notions. So please, audience, check it out. It's all over the place. You can download it or you can stream it. It's everywhere. And I just got back from Puerto Vallarta. I'm doing my live performance of Romantic Notions, and I just strongly recommend anyone who hasn't been there to go there. It's really fabulous. My goals in the future are we're working on a new show. My team and I are working on a new show. We're going to premiere it here in New York City in May 8th to be exact. And that's my goal. My goal is to just keep making music and building my audience, um, and hopefully creating value through that.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Of course, there are plenty of people, or tons of people more now following you after listening to this episode. Of course, I am one of them. I'm the biggest. I did not tell you. So the idea of the podcast is that we don't meet before, right? And so I don't know much about you. I don't read so much because it has to be authentic.
Oh,
And
wow.
and when I put you on a pedestal also because you are the star, then it's not helpful for. So I will check out, of course, your album, your music. I did not do this before. Thank you so much for our interview. And I am the biggest musical fan since the age of 13, by the way. I
Oh,
was 13. And I was living in the city with the musical in Germany called Starlight Express.
oh
Yeah.
yes. Oh, I love it. And before we got on, we talked about how we both have Slavic in us because I'm half Polish and my husband is half German. And yeah, so it's nice to share that too.
Yeah, thank you so much. We are connected, of course. I think maybe you can share as my last question about, yeah, where we can find you. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can everything can be found. I'm all over social media. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, follow me. That would be fabulous. And also I have a website, annekittredge.com, and that's AnnKittredge.com.
I love it. I'll check it out. Of course, I put it in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for our interview. And now it's time for your final thoughts to the audience, please.
My final thoughts. So it's lovely to be able to share this stuff with you. I thought Caroline's questions were wonderful. And it's always nice to be asked, interesting questions that, I hope you've enjoyed. And what I would have to say is, for anyone who is watching this, I don't care what your creative bent is, we all have one. We all have one, whether it's in technology or painting or music or writing or teaching we all have that creative energy. And I just want to say that I am very honored to be a part of this world creative community that does not get caught up in the genres that we specialize in. And so I wish you all great creative flow this year.
Wow, what a great message. I'm highly inspired now. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Yes. And see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to Inspired Choice today. I'm thrilled to have you on this journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe to stay connected and never miss an episode. And here's something special. Grab your free 20-minute breakthrough session with me. It's designed to help you kickstart or level up your business. Just check out the show notes for more. Until next time, keep making those inspired choices. See you in the next episode.